Good morning. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. As always, smash that like button right now. Get that done. Subscribe. Make sure the bell notification button is turned on as well so you get notified. The second best way of being, actually the best way of being notified is sign up to our Discord server. The link for that is in the description below. The best football community and chat room in the world. Enter at your own risk, like you will be challenged. There's a lot of banter, there's a lot of challenge, there's a lot of laughs that go on in there. But it's an amazing community. If you're new to the Terrace, join that right about now. Just in terms of some of the replies, who's in there? Dark's in there now. Dark Fox is there. Atomic Samurai's in the house. I know you can see my comments as well. So I have that live. I have your live comments here on YouTube as well. But good morning. Lots of transfer news and stories to look on this morning. The summer is starting to heat up already. The summer transfer window is starting to heat up massively. Reports coming out of Italy today that Chelsea are reportedly considering launching an £86 million bid for former Chelsea and Manchester United striker Romelu Lukaku. This, for me, appears to be the second choice option, Haaland being the first. But it appears to be clever business from Chelsea. Clever business indeed. Them getting their ducks in a row and ensuring they have an alternative to Haaland should the deal not go through, because it's not a guarantee. So I think it's a very piece of shrewd business from Chelsea to look at getting this done. I want your thoughts and feelings on this news this morning. We will delve into that in a little bit more detail as well. There is also a report of Manchester United showing interest in hijacking a potential £34 million Liverpool transfer deal as well, namely Ibrahima Konate from RB Leipzig. Terrible news if it happens, in my opinion. The geezer is the walking wounded, literally signing a zombie. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. A lot of people here talking about KDB's new contract. I haven't actually seen that news this morning in terms of what I've consumed, but if it's true, I wouldn't be surprised. Why would City ever want to lose one of the best football players on God's green earth? They wouldn't. Comment here says, Terry, do you think Lukaku will come to Chelsea? I'll delve into that in a few moments. Another story that's been circulating today that I wanted to get your opinions on here is that Tottenham emerged as a surprise rival for a big-name Chelsea target. Seemingly third on the list for Chelsea in terms of striker options this summer is Sergio Aguero. Now, I don't know how likely it is that Aguero would sign for another Premier League team, especially Chelsea, who are going to be competing with Manchester City next year. There's no doubt about it. But according to a report this morning, Tottenham are reportedly interested in trying to sign the option this summer. Now, I think Aguero's got more chance of going Tottenham if they can afford him in terms of wages than Chelsea, because Tottenham are never really going to challenge Man City for honours at the highest level of the game. Maybe there's less disrespect in that, but Tottenham fans tuning in, Sergio Aguero to your club, how would that make you feel? I want to know now. Get your comments in. Make sure that like button is being smashed. We're going to open up the lines for you to have your say in a few moments as well. Terry, does Konate's price reflect his injury record? No, I think it's partly that. Yes, maybe. And also, I don't think his contract's come. I think he has a buyout clause as well, if I remember rightly. I have to go back and look. Orlando Clark, morning, Terry. Different, the same madness. Will be signing breadsticks now. Yeah, listen, signing Ibrahima Konate for Liverpool and Man United is a ridiculously high gamble. Honestly, if you offer me Ben White or Ibrahima right now, I'm picking Ben White. Ben White isn't as good, but at least he'll be fit to play, and it won't be a waste of money. Eric Bailly 2.0. On the other question I had around, do I think Lukaku could go to Chelsea? We'll delve into the story that I'll give you my opinions on this. It says here, the Belgian international has been on fire in Serie A this season, showing himself to be one of the finest centre-forwards in Europe again after a difficult 2-year spell at Manchester United. Morning reports in Italy have suggested that the Chelsea outfit are lining him up as one of their top priorities come the summer to rejuvenate their front line behind only Erling Haaland. And I think that's a telling point here for me. So it's important to read these reports in their entirety. Chelsea are never going to just look at one striker, because anything could happen. Haaland could, touching wood, it doesn't. Haaland could suffer a career-threatening injury in the next few weeks. where would that leave Chelsea in terms of their recruitment? They have to have alternatives. They have to have plan Bs and plan Cs. And it looks like Lukaku is that. So I'm asking Chelsea fans this. If you miss out on Haaland, but you bring in Lukaku, how happy would you be with that as an alternative? I want your thoughts. I want your feelings on that this morning. Now, Man United fans being linked with a £34 million move for Ibrahima Konate. I don't even want to read the article again because it made me angry. Legitimately made me angry that Manchester United are looking at signing a player with one of the worst injury records, one of the worst physical bodies in terms of injuries out there. It's driving me nuts even thinking about it. It literally is driving me nuts, legitimately nuts. Sign Ben White. He may not be as good, but at least you get games out of him. At least it won't be a colossal waste of money. Haaland is a number one choice, but if we do anything and we just get him, then I'll be very happy with Lukaku. I don't suppose you wouldn't be. I think it's a fair thing to come out and say, no doubt about it. Let's do some more of your comments here. Terry, have you heard that the sizable of the dressing room have turned on De Gea? In my opinion, it is shocking. I haven't heard that rumor, if I'm being honest, that the dressing room has changed on him. Someone share that link with me. You know what? There's so much news to consume out there. It's impossible to read it all, especially with me still doing two jobs at the minute. I can't wait until I'm just doing the one so I can focus more on that. But when we say it's shocking, it does depend on the behavior of the player. It depends what the player has done. It depends what the player has said. And until I know the facts, it's a very difficult one for me. 150 million for Haaland, and he scores 15 goals in the Premier League, would be so much pressure on him. There would be, but I think Haaland thrives on that pressure. I think Haaland will step up, and he's the best young striker in the world. And in 2 years' time, he will be the out-and-out best striker. There's no doubt about it. Watching him play against City last night, he was excellent. Legitimately, he was excellent last night, considering his team didn't get the ball into that area of the pitch as much as he would have liked. Can you imagine him playing in a Chelsea or a City team that dominates the majority of the sides they go up against? Potent, and dangerous. And Spurs fans, this is the report that's come out this morning here. He says, reports suggest that it would be likely to be between Chelsea and Tottenham for Aguero's signature, and the Blues could certainly do with a big name signing up front. It then goes on to say, but Lukaku and Haaland are the number one and number two priorities. Timo Werner has been poor this season, and a short-term signing like Aguero could be useful for the West London Giants after a lack of real impact from the likes of Tammy Abraham and Giroud. Tottenham, however, Tottenham, however, already have Harry Kane up front, while Son has had an enjoyable season up front. There doesn't seem to be an obvious need for Aguero, but it would also be hard to turn down a player of this caliber on a free deal. So it basically says, so I disagree with the article. I think that Spurs do have a necessity for an Aguero. They have nobody that's an alternative to Harry Kane. The drop-off is absolutely gargantuan. I think Aguero would be a really good short-term option for Tottenham. I think he'd be a really good short-term option. If Chelsea can't land Lukaku and they can't get Haaland, if they can bring Aguero in for a season, just so maybe Timo Werner finds his feet a little bit more, I don't think it's a bad third choice to have. There's still a few miles left in his tank, I would say. I really would. But Chelsea, Spurs fans, would you like to see him at your football club? I want to hear from you now. I want to know what you're thinking, feeling, and saying. We're going to open up the lines in a moment for you to phone up and have your say. Alex here says, Lukaku bottles the big games and you won't like him as your main striker. He's horrible to watch as a player. That's what Alex, who is a Liverpool fan, has said. He didn't have a very good big game record at Manchester United. I think that's a very fair statement to make, but he is still an excellent player, and maybe it'll work for him. And my member here, Ian White, says Aguero getting one last payday reeks way more of Arsenal. Arsenal throw daft contracts at 30-plus players who will only be on the decline because of his age. But at Arsenal, we will throw 300k a week at AOPs. Do you know what's interesting, Ian, when you say that? I almost believe that is the case. I almost, listening to that, it makes me feel like that could happen. Can you imagine Arsenal give him a 3-year deal on 250, 300 grand a week? And then you just see him progressively. He's a 1-year contract player now, or 2-year, 1 year with a further option the club can trigger. He's got to go in on 100K a week that can rise to 200 or 300 with appearances and goals and wins. That's the way it needs to be done. Anyone that's chucking 200, 300 grand a week at Aguero now on any more than a 1-year deal with an optional extension would be crazy. But can he offer something for 12 to 18 months to 2 years in a shirt? I still think he's got something there. Strip Bear says, Terry, Chelsea versus Porto, who wins? Obviously, we did our preview last night. I am going to go over Chelsea win. I'm going to go over a 1-0 Chelsea win tonight. The game will still be in the balance for the second leg. I think Chelsea will bounce back after their really poor outing against West Brom. But that, for me, was a flash in the pan. That will be a rarity. They got it wrong after the sending off. They should have shut up shop. They should have been less expansive. They should have been very compact. They were not. Maybe they were a little bit disrespectful to West Brom, and it came back to haunt them. But I just look at it and think to myself, Chelsea are going to be too good in the end for Porto. They're going to be methodical. They're going to be pragmatic at times. They're going to retain possession well, and they will wait, and they will get that opening. And as long as they can have somebody that pounces and puts the ball in the back of the net, there's no doubt about it in my mind. I think they will win. I really do. Terry, drag up Konate's injury record for us. Yes, I'll bring that up now. I'll go and get it. It's bloody shocking. If we're being absolutely honest, I swear, if you search his name, one of the first Google options is injuries. If you literally type his name, I'm going to do it now. I don't even want to be harsh, but if I type his name in, put the space in, the first thing on the search bar is injury record. I know it would be. Excuse me for coughing. It's huge for such a young player as well. Let me get this up on the screen so you all can see this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and then I'm going to share it, and then we're going to put the link out for you to all come on and have your say today. But here is the injury record, as you can see. So 2 injuries in 2018, but only minor, 7 and 5 days respectively. Only a knock the following season, but that torn muscle fiber that kept him out for 225 days. The same injury again occurred when he, a few days after returning from training, missed another 14 days. He then returns to pre-season training, or I suppose the restart of last season, essentially, and bang, torn muscle fiber again. This season hasn't been as bad, but there's still been over 50 days of this season outside of those torn muscle fibers. For me, I want to see another year to 18 months of him playing without that torn muscle fiber happening again. The fact it's happened 3 times in a year and a half, 18 months, would be a huge worry for me. He's missed almost a year of football in terms of days of training. I want to see that he's completely over it. Now, the ankle injury is what it is, but let's see. I think he's a player that needs to be given another 12 months before I would be happy to see my club commit major money on him. That's just how I feel about it. Maybe some of you feel that little bit different. We're going to share the link now. We're going to share it on the Discord server. If you're over there, a lot of you are still in that chat room. It's going to be on the general chat page that we're going to share this information. Say information. It's not information. It's a bloody link. But there we go. That's been shared over there if you want to phone in this morning and have your say. I think it's been shared. Is it shared? Oops. I broke the link. Let me do it again. I broke the link. My apologies. In terms of put a space bar in it, that don't work. Call in now. I should really prep this before. I never do. But oh well. Right. That should work this time. Should work this time. There we go. That's worked. And I'm also going to share it in the live chat feed here this morning with you all as well. If you want to phone in, if you want to have your say this morning. iTest here says the injuries show his elite mentality to keep coming back at a young age and still looked at as one of the best young centre-backs you wouldn't understand. Do you know what I love about that, mate? You're iTest. You're the gift that keeps giving. You and all your Ollie out crew for the past 3 weeks have consistently spoke about Marcus Rashford being reckless. It's reckless that Rashford keeps playing through injuries or rushing back from injuries. It's disgusting of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to allow this to happen. And in the same breath, you're praising Ibrahima Konate for rushing back from injuries and fighting through injuries. And because he's getting lots of injuries, that makes him a brave player with an elite mentality. But yet Rashford is reckless. This is the problem when you don't speak with truth, when you don't speak with morality and integrity and give your true, honest opinion. And when you have agendas, you will always do yourself. And I'm like an elephant with this. I'm never going to forget the outrageous things that you and the Ollie hate mob come out with. So to say that Konate is only getting injured because he's got an elite mentality, but Rashford is reckless, ruining his career, and Ollie should be like sacked for gross negligence. Gross negligence is absolute madness. I've seen your comments on Rashford about the injury stuff, bro. I've seen you may not have said it on camera, but I've seen you and the Ollie out mob say these things, bro. No doubt about it. Make sure you're hitting that like and share button. We're going to go to the calls now. First on the show this morning, we're going with Max. We're going to get Max on the line. When he unmutes, I'll put him on. That way I know he's listening. There we go. Max,
Yes.
is who do you support, mate?
I support United, bro.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
Terry, listen, it's a bit interesting seeing Liverpool going for Konate, you know. What I will say about that is, we all know that Liverpool study a player very much, and they study their injury problems, we saw with Nabil Fekir. What I will say is, I know Konate is very injury prone, but Liverpool may see something about him. That's why they are looking for him. So if we United got Konate, I wouldn't be as mad as other people. And to be honest, I would still take him over Ben White because, listen, Ben White is decent, but as we saw against Brighton in the weekend, he isn't that, the quality that United needs, and especially with Harry Maguire, they're too similar.
I hear you on that, and listen, if you trust Liverpool, then that's down to you. Their record of signing players with injury problems is actually quite high when you look at it. So that's what makes me nervous. But Max, thank you for calling the show and having your say today. Next on the channel, we've got Chad. We've got Chad with us here. What are you saying, Chad? Oh, Chad dropped out when he saw his face on camera. We've got Abs on the line here. Abs is a Chelsea fan. What are you saying, bro?
Hey, well gone, Terry. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm all good, bro. What do you want to talk about this morning?
Man's come to apologize. A few weeks ago, I came on and I said something about Lukaku and how he was washed, and I put him in the same bracket as Mo Salah and Kevin De Belland. And I basically said they were, despite the fact that they've gone on to do some stuff in their careers, I wouldn't really want them. But Lukaku is a fantastic striker. I've just taken a step back. I've, really looked at it objectively. I've come to apologize to all the Chelsea fans, all football fans in general. I've fallen on my sword and realized that Lukaku would not be a bad alternative if we don't get Haaland. However, with a big however, I still wouldn't have him in my club. Not because of any other personal reason, but just as a system player. Because you see with Lukaku, right? And it's the same thing with even Eden Hazard, who you've seen at Madrid. The reason why Lukaku was so good at Everton was because he was the big Dada Don. He was the big man. Everyone knew he was the star player, and you just get the ball up to him and he will make something happen. Then he went to Man United and he wasn't the big man anymore because you had Pogba, Rashford, who else? You had Matic, who was on smoke that season as well. So the thing is with Lukaku is it's almost a case of he needs to be the star man, the big Dada Don, as I said, for him to thrive. And at Chelsea, I don't think he'll be the big Dada Don because there's multiple styles in this team that, although they'll supply the ball to him, I don't think, he'll fit so much and he'll be the talisman we'll see, partly due down to system and partly because of that big club mentality thing. But yeah, he's still a fantastic striker and I would never turn down having it at a club.
Yeah, listen, he's definitely he's your second choice according to the reports that continue to circulate from multiple sources. He's It's going to be very, very interesting to see what actually happens in that space. But I don't think he'll be a bad signing. And I think Tuchel could get a lot of good football out of him. Abs, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate that, bro. We've got a comment here that's a previous comment said that I have agendas as well as in Terry. And it says exactly, so why call out people like he's completely impartial when he literally says Bruno is the best midfielder in the world, best attacking midfielder in the world. But it's about logic, isn't it? So everybody's got an opinion, but an opinion is not the same thing as an agenda. So my rationale for Bruno is I look at it from an attacking point of view is lots of players with different attributes that outweigh each other, but overall elite level players. What I then look for out of those elite level attacking midfielders is who has the best outputs in those positions, and their main outputs are scoring and creating goals. That is what they're there to do, is attacking midfielders, number 10s, whatever you want to call them. So my logic dictates that I put Bruno in that bracket. Do I think he's the best technically? No. Do I think he's the best passer? No. Do I think he's the best dribbler out of attacking midfielders? Absolutely not. But all things being equal, looking at his strengths, everybody else's strengths, all their abilities and their statistical output, I put Bruno on top. But my logic remains. The logic is there still. What I don't do is say that this case of Rashford is reckless and going to ruin his career. And that's why he's getting lots of injuries. And Ollie needs to be sacked for mismanagement of the player. And then in the same breath, praise Ibrahima Konate for getting injuries, saying, well, it's just because he's got an elite mentality. He breaks his body for his club. He's a legend for it. That is a logical flaw. That is hypocrisy. So it isn't about not having an opinion and staying by it. It's about your thought process and how you formulate your opinions changing just to win individual arguments. So that is my just to address that. There's a difference between having an opinion and having an agenda. I don't have an agenda against Arsene Wenger when I say that to be a great manager, you need to have won back-to-back league titles in one of the top 4 leagues and a Champions League. That's my qualifier. So I will never put a manager in the great category who hasn't done that. It's not because of Wenger or because of a manager that hasn't achieved it. It's just my personal gateway. So I'm true to it. As soon as Jurgen Klopp won that Champions League, because he's won back-to-back German titles, he goes into the great category. Now, within that, there's tiers. But I haven't made up some weird excuse to deny him because he's the Liverpool manager. He's hit the criteria that I set, so he's in. That, for me, is the difference between an agenda-driven situation and an opinion. And, of course, people can say KDB is better than Bruno. I don't care. It doesn't change my logic. It doesn't impact my opinion. I'm not even so much debating it. It's just giving an opinion. But my logic is not flawed. And if you could take the logic apart, not the opinion. The opinion's meh. Like I said about Trent Alexander-Arnold last night. Trent Alexander-Arnold is an amazing attacking fullback, a brilliant playmaker, one of the best in the world. Defensively, he's a championship player. How do we know this? He's continually put on toast by fullbacks, continually makes defensive errors, and hasn't improved defensively, in my opinion, for over 3 years. I think he's a championship defender based on those elements, and I stand by it. Just that. Strip Bear, thank you for upgrading your membership to legendary status. We're going to do some more calls this morning. We've got Abs on, another Abs. We've got about 10 Abs that phone up. Love it. Abs is here. What are you saying, bro?
I'm good, Terry. What are you saying, mate?
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. What's on your mind today?
Firstly, I'm happy that the other Abs finally saw the light after his comments last time we were on. So I'm happy he's actually seen the light. I agree with you. We should be no way going near Konate. I'm sorry. If we're going for him, we might as well just keep buying. It doesn't make no sense. I'm sorry. If we're going for Konate, it shows we haven't learned from our previous mistakes. Personally, I think we need a CDM and a right wing before we need a centre back. But Konate, stay away from him. Just for me personally.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more. Do you know what it stinks of? It stinks of he's got a lot of ability and he's cheap. Yeah. So let's get him. And we're not thinking. I don't really care about the price per se, as long as it's signing. I don't care if the player costs 3 million, 30 million, or 300 million, as long as they can deliver for us. You know, it's if Chelsea drop 150 bars on Lukaku on Haaland, and he scores 30 plus goals every single season, his price tag will never ever be mentioned. You know, the same as when, you know, it just is what it is. So I don't really care about what we spend, but we've got to look at this injury record. I want to see Konate spend another 12 months without that torn muscle fiber injury reoccurring and other injury elements not like persisting because of the sort of the knock on. What can happen to a lot of players is you can have a long time out and then your body just starts breaking down. It's a bit, you know, a lot of us are going to feel a lot of pain in the next few weeks when we all start going back to the gyms and exercising again because we've been sitting on our backsides. And it's not quite the same because, of course, these are professional athletes, but one injury can then trigger multiple because your body's out of action for a certain amount of time. And I just don't want us to waste the transfer, the salary, and then have him on the books for a 5-year period, not able to get rid of him. We've got Tuanzebe and Bay that are already hugely injury prone. Yeah. It would just be stupid, in my opinion. In terms of Lukaku coming back to Chelsea, do you think that's more realistic than them getting Haaland?
I don't know if you remember, Tel, when I was on last time, I did say that the Lukaku one makes sense. The thing is with the Haaland, and I think one of the previous people say here, the price tag as well. I feel like if he comes in for 150 million, everyone's going to expect Haaland to score 30 to 40 goals in the Premier League, which I don't think he will. Lukaku, for 86 mil? I think that's a steal. And he's a proven goal scorer in the Premier League. So adapting to it, I don't see that being a problem. If it's a second option, I think it's a good second option. But I know Roman loves his toys, so he's probably still going to go for Haaland as his number one option.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, it just depends who can get Haaland. So every day there's a different rumor about who and what and where he wants to go. Chelsea doing the right thing by having alternative options. There is. I think it would be negligent of any board to put all their eggs into a Haaland basket and not have a backup alternative ready. Panic buying a striker. We've seen it for all of our clubs. Not like it can have really bad ramifications at times. It absolutely can. Abs, thank you for coming on the show, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate that, buddy. Thank you very much indeed. Let's do some more of your comments here. Terry uses terrible logic. Ancelotti has never won back-to-back league titles. That's an interesting one, but that's just my gateway. That's my gateway. So that's it. To be great, that's what you've got to have done. And the reason I say it's a mark of greatness is to motivate a top-class squad to win something, a league title 2 years running, is a huge achievement. So it's a huge qualifier. And if you haven't done it, you haven't done it. You can think, and the point is, bro, that's my logic or my qualifier, my gateway. You don't need to agree with it. But my point is I'm setting the bar really high to be in that category. Winning back-to-back league titles is hard, very, very hard to do, especially if you manage in leagues where the team you're managing doesn't have the financial monopoly, and especially if you're in a league where it's highly competitive and 2 or 3 teams have huge amount of spending power. It's hard to do. That's why that is there as an option. I didn't realize Ancelotti hadn't done that because it's not like the point is I don't make my gateway and go, right, let me make a gateway to keep managers out. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that for me. Winning leagues back to back is one of the hardest achievements a team and a manager can muster. 3 on the bounce is beyond greatness. It's so difficult and it's so hard to do to keep a team motivated. Fair enough. It's a lot easier at a PSG. It's a bit easier at a Bayern Munich. But in Spain, very difficult. England, very difficult. Italy, it used to be difficult. There was a time with Juve where it's definitely easier to be done. So you can apply a little bit of context. But that's how you then have tiers within tiers. But that's my fault. Terry, could you put up the conversion rate of Lukaku in the last 2 years? Just wondered how clinical he has been. I can definitely get that. That's not a problem at all. I'll get that up in a few moments and we can go through that. Why do you guys want Terry to change his opinion so much? It's his opinion. Let him have it. And this is the thing I say to people. I don't really mind my opinion being challenged. So it's absolutely fine. But it's debunk what I say. Like, challenge what I actually say and not just say it's stupid. Like, I want you to phone up and challenge me. Not because I think I'm right about everything, but show me I'm wrong. Show me that I'm wrong. But no one ever really seems to attack me, which is just, It's not, I don't find it offensive. I don't cry. It's just, it's a bit boring, isn't it? Saying, you chat shit. Well done. Well done. God. Actually think about it. Terry, I think eye test means that Konate has elite mentality because he's come back from injury and performing at a higher level, not that he has elite mentality because he gets injured. Maybe. But every player that gets injured comes back. How many players have you seen, young players, that have got an injury that are pros and that have never come back? It's a bit of a sweeping statement. Rashford comes back from an injury and we were like, oh, he shouldn't be back. He should be resting. He's going to kill himself. He's going to be retired at 23, 24, whatever it is. So maybe that's true. Maybe I misread it. If that's the case, eye test, though, I apologize. What if it's the other way around? Buy a player with a good injury record for 70 million and he becomes injury prone. Stupid analysis on a player's injury record. It's about the balance of probability. If something has never happened, it's just an if, but, or maybe. If something has occurred on multiple occasions, it's legitimate analysis. So if I look at someone's applying for a job with me and they've got 15 years experience, and in those 15 years, they have worked for 2 companies and they have spent 6 to 7 years-ish at each company and have progressed up the ranks, that tells me there's a higher probability. And the second person has got a 15-year experience, but has worked for 11, 12 different companies. Now you have to interview, and me as the interviewer, I have to do my due diligence. I have to probe. I have to learn. I have to look at references, and I have to understand. But there is a possibility that the person that's had multiple jobs either lacks the ability to be loyal and stay in one place for a long period of time, and maybe that's what I'm looking for. Or 2, maybe they don't get on with people on a regular basis and they move companies all the time. It could just be they're very, very good and they're jumping from company to company, getting pay rises and improving their wealth, and that's down to them. But it's about doing due diligence. The other person, it seems like they're more loyal. They're going to stand by. They get on with their colleagues. They've progressed internally. And neither of those 2 things can be proven as true. They're hypotheses. So what I need to do as the interviewer is do my investigation. So as fans, we can only assess what we're seeing. So if we see someone with a bad injury record, it puts us off of doing it. If you trust your club, I don't trust Man United, it's for them to do their due diligence, look at the injury reports, look at the medical records, assess why these things happen. Are there mitigating circumstances that have now been addressed that are going to see these things end? Equally, when you sign someone with a very small injury record, you still need to assess their medical records. How often are they in the red zone? Are they on the edge? Are they on the brink of a major injury due to, listen, he's never really had any time off, but he gets injections in his knee every single game. His knee is about to explode. That's about the club doing that level of due diligence. We can't. All we can assess is the information that's put in front of us. So if I see a player of 24 who's had 1 injury in 5 years and he's highly talented, and I see another 24-year-old who's equally as talented but has had 13 injuries and missed over 400 or 500 days of football in that same time period, I'm going to edge toward, without the ability to do the due diligence, I'm going to edge towards the person without the injury record. I don't think it's bad logic. I think it's highly logical. I think it's the right way of assessing things. But equally, of course, it can go wrong if you sign someone who's got a good injury record versus someone with a bad injury record. But in the balance of probability, if you've already got a bad injury record, it's more likely to persist. Simple as that for me. It really is that simple in my eyes. I saw a weird comment I'm not putting up. Terry, to be honest, do you seriously see Lukaku winning the Chelsea the Premier League? I don't think he's the guy for that. I'd rather get João Felix. And that's, you're entitled to that opinion. For me, I don't think any one player is going to win you the league. It's about the system. It's about the players collectively as a team. I think Lukaku could score you the goals to help you win the league. João Felix, do you really need him when you've got Kai Havertz? I'd give Kai Havertz another year, in my opinion. Next on the show, who we got for you? Next on the show, we've got Alfie is in there. Alfie, what you saying, mate? You there, Alfie? Alfie's not there, ready to go. So we will move to Man Like Elite KJ. What you saying, bro?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I didn't see you sitting down there at the bottom of a list. So how you doing? You good, man?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, like I'm going to try and somehow turn this into a United thing. Lukaku to Chelsea. Will we get our money back? Because we are owed peas and I want them. You know what I'm saying? I want the 40 million that Inter Milan have not given us. So, do you reckon there's some way that United can benefit from the transfer?
We will receive our money. So we're a secured creditor. So Man United will get their 48 million pounds we're owed. It won't come directly from Chelsea. It will go into Inter and back out the other end. The only problem is it depends on how that 48 million pound is broken up in terms of installments. So if that's a one-off installment, then we're going to get it will literally in one account and out of another as an example. And our financial team will be chasing that up and it will be on top of things. That deal should help us because we're owed that money. From an accounts point of view, we've already had that money. So this is what. So there's when you sell a player, your accounts as a business will show that whole transaction as money in without actually receiving it. But of course, until you actually receive it, you can't spend it because it's a fugazi. It's not really there. So it will help us in terms of the summer's transfer budget, no doubt. But it's about what we spend it on. Knowing the Glazers, we get 50 mil in for Lukaku. And like 20 mil comes out the club, you know, buys them a new house, buys a yacht, you know, pays for some Botox. I don't know what they're going to spend it on over there in America, but like it's not going to be all on the club. You know, they're going to give it to Tom Brady, buy Tom Brady's wife a new car. I don't know what they're going to do with that money, but yeah, hopefully we get some of it, bro.
Yeah, hopefully. And then Konate, it's just again, it stings of we're signing a player because another rival wants them. You know what I mean? Like we've done that already. We do with Man City all the time. And again, I know it's the first couple of months, but this whole new structure thing is not filling me with confidence. The stories that are coming out, they're not filling me with confidence that things are changing. It sounds very similar to what's been going on before. So it makes me question, okay, how much impact do these guys actually have on the way that we operate, the way that we run? Because Konate, trying to steal Konate when he's got a bad injury record, trying to sign Haaland when we know we're not going to get him, potentially trying to sign Sancho but not signing Sancho because of Diallo and Greenwood and Palestri. It just all sounds way too United, and doesn't sound like this new future, new structure, new way of operating. So yeah, that Konate story does not fill me with any confidence that things will actually change.
Yeah, I almost want to see Man United not make an actual press release themselves, but go to a credible journalist and outright say we're not looking at him. That's what I'd love to see from Man United this year, is when they see a story of an agent, a player, a club, or just a media outlet making something up, linking them to a player, come out and I don't even care. You do official Twitter account to do it. Quote tweet the story and say fake news. Just do something, right? I don't care how bullshit it is. Just do it to stop them using us, if that makes sense. Because maybe we're not looking at it. Maybe Konate's using it to hurry Liverpool along, where seemingly the report said 2 weeks ago they made him do a medical, but they've made no decision off the back, saying United are linked. The problem is we trust. If we trusted our board, we'd just sit there and be like, we ain't going to buy him. There's nothing to worry about. But we know what these guys are like. They're absolute cow sons for it. They really, really are. A lot of people are asking for Lukaku. Sorry to interject. Lukaku's conversion rate. So last season in Serie A, his conversion rate was 30%. This season, it's 32%. So his conversion rate is impeccable. There's no doubt. We actually compare that, though, and look at his last season at Manchester United. That's going to be the interesting one for me. I'm going to get that up now. If I look at his last season, at Manchester United, he still was pretty good. It was 26%. It was 26% conversion rate there. His conversion rate's always been very, very good. His finishing was never, ever the issue. Let's actually look at his first. What I might actually do is look at his first season. So I'm just typing it out here at Manchester United as well. to see how that sort of stacks up, where he had his highest goal scoring year for us. Interestingly, that was 23%. So he's literally in the last 4 years of Lukaku's career, it's gone from 23 to 26 to 30 to 32. Some would say as he's aged, he's matured and got better and peaked.
Yeah, Lukaku is showing his worth in Italy. At United, to be fair, his first season was very good at United. It was just when things went sour for Mourinho, things started to get sour for Lukaku. And then when Ole came in, the way that we wanted to play with our number 9 didn't suit him. And so he's moved to a team that are built around him, that built for him, and the manager loves him, and he's thriving, and that's what he should be doing. He's a quality player. It's just that I question what can he do when he's asked to do more than score goals. When he's asked to play with his back to goal, when he's asked to play asked to link up play, drag defenders out wide, take them on. Like, is he the guy to do that? I'm not too sure. But I'll never question his ability and his goal scoring record. He is top level. Like that you cannot deny him.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people talking about a tweet as well from Simon Phillips saying that Haaland will not be going to Manchester City. Look, I've been saying it here on the Terrace. We had him on the show. One of the world's leading. He does a bit of agency work. He's connected to agents, but he works a lot behind the scenes with a lot of football players and a lot of clubs. And he just said it. He spoke to people at Chelsea. They are the front runners. Roman wants him. He's prepared to pay whatever he needs to. Lukaku will be a good alternative. But watching Haaland last night, watching Haaland's link-up play, the way he holds. The one thing Lukaku was poor at Man United was battling with centre-backs. I just thought, I used to look at him, and because of his size and his sheer mass as a man, I expect him. I don't care whether that's what he wants to do or not. I expect him to do well in physical battles. Any player that's got size, I expect you to put yourself about a bit. Lukaku doesn't want to do that. He wants to play like an off-the-shoulder Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, Javier Hernandez. By the way, he's brilliant at it. He doesn't want to get involved in that. It just didn't seem to work for him at the elite level in the Premier League, where there wasn't the space to do it. That's why I think at Everton and even at West Brom, he shone the most, because teams they played less deep. They weren't as deep, which meant he had more time, which means he wasn't being battled as much for the ball. He had more space to run in behind. The same reason that Jesse Lingard is doing so well at West Ham is there's more space. He's not got people right up him straight away. Where when Man United play, nearly everybody's behind the ball, so you've got people on top of you more, and the physical battles there. So I've got question marks over Lukaku. He's finishing. He'll be fine with. He'll be absolutely fine with. But is it enough to get you from where Chelsea are to winning the title? I'm not too sure. Haaland's number one choice, no doubt. We're going to go to some more callers. We're going to add some more people, get some more people involved here. But make sure you're smashing that like button for us this morning. Next up, Fixer's on the show. What are you saying, Fixer?
Hey, Terry. Hey, KJ. How you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about two things. First, that Konate thing. I think that's dead in the water. We should not even go near that guy. In the injury record, I mean, we already have a lot of injury-prone players. We already have Bailly, who's always injured. Like we bought Dalot injured as well, and United need to stop doing things like that, because it always comes to fruition. Like, look at Bailly now. Bailly is always injured, and yesterday somebody was criticizing Solskjaer because he doesn't play Bailly when Bailly is fit, and I was thinking to myself, he's never fit. Lindelof plays every single game, even with an injured back. So why would Solskjaer then bench him for Bailly? It doesn't matter how good Bailly is. He's never available. He plays like 10 games a season. So even if he's better than Lindelof, I personally, if I was Solskjaer, I would do the same. I wouldn't play him except it's absolutely necessary, because you can't bring him in and bench somebody who is always available, and then when Bailey's fit once in a while, play him over Lindelof. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that even makes sense.
I hear that. There's a comment here that's about Haaland. It says there's no guarantee with Haaland either. He hasn't even touched the ball in the Prem. Bro, there isn't any guarantee with any player. Man United signed Alexis Sanchez, who was seemingly at the peak of his powers and had killed it in the Prem, and it didn't work. But if you use the logic that anybody could fail. You'll never sign a single individual. I haven't said Lukaku would foul, but what we have seen is him not cut the mustard at 2 elite level clubs in the Premier League already. So again, on the balance of probability, with what Haaland has done and the potential that he's got, I can understand why. And by the way, it's probably going to only cost about 30, 40 million more. And for Chelsea, they don't care about wasting that extra 30, 40 million if it goes wrong. Like 86 million for Lukaku, I think it's well worth the risk spending 120, 130 million on Haaland, because I think he will cut it in the Premier League. But it's all about opinions. But basically, you are right, VVV. Any player you sign could flop in the Premier League. It can happen. But if we go through, if every team had that logic, you'd never sign a player. There'd be no, we might as well stick with what we've got, because they might not be better than Pereira. They might not be better than Tammy Abraham. So it wouldn't really work. Fixer, thank you for coming on, mate, and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Top man. Next up, Tom Little, back by popular demand last night. Liverpool fan. What are you saying, bro?
I'm good, mate. You? Well, not good. I sat there and thought about the match yesterday, and then came on to see Konate might not even turn up. So.
How do you feel as a Liverpool fan looking at this Konate deal? Are you encouraged by it, or are you concerned with his injury record? What's your thoughts?
If you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd be going, just sign anyone. We need a centre back, But I haven't looked into it just a little bit more, If you'd asked me last season, I would have trusted the medical department because we had one of the best. But this season, it's just fell off a cliff. So. I'm not confident. I think we need someone who you can rely on, who can be available. Maybe he is a bit technically less good than Konate, but availability for this Liverpool team, especially with 3 defenders coming off long-term injuries, is vital, because they're not going to be up to speed straight away. They're going to need a couple of games, maybe a couple of rests here and there, just to try and recover a bit quicker. We need that availability in a centre-back. And then I've got no issues going for Konate then to try and strengthen.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and maybe there's things that we don't know about his injury record, and the medical reports say that it doesn't look like it's going to persist. So there's that confidence there. I suppose as a Man United fan, we've just signed so many duds. I just feel like it just would maybe another one there. I have got to go. I forgot I had a meeting at midday, and I'm getting messages saying, "Where are you?" I was so engrossed in the conversation that I lost track of time. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you very, very, very much indeed. Do me a favor and smash that like button. We're back at 5 p.m. Amy's making her debut on the show. Man like Aaron is back. Johnny's on the show. We're talking Man United. We're talking a big transfer rumor that I can't wait to bring to you that's been confirmed. Huge one for Manchester United. Playing a few games, previewing the Europa League games as well. But until next time, take care. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. That's what I say. And we'll